Hello FlossTube, my name is Arlene and I'm a kitchen stitcher and it is February. Kind of excited that a year ago, little over a year ago, probably about a year and a month ago, not quite a month, I started this FlossTube channel, and about 2 months, month and a half, 2 months later, my friends Crystal and Lisa joined us. Thank you to Linda for alerting me in the comments that they've started their own channel now. And that was news to me, unfortunately. Makes me a little heartbroken, but not surprising. They are very close and they have time during the day to do this where I can't do it during the day because I do have a full-time job that's somewhat demanding, and I do travel some, so it was easier I think when Lisa was working, and she doesn't work anymore, and Crystal's schedule is really flexible. Plus they have connected with a group of stitchers that they call their tribe, and they are able to do a lot of events with them that I just simply can't. So I wish them the best of luck, and maybe they will join us at some point. We have over 1,500 subscribers now here, so I did want to give a little Just Nan packet to anybody who's interested. I have Just Nan kit with the stocking and a Just Nan hedgehog, little hedgie that I had done back in the spring. So if you are interested in that, please go ahead and put that in your comments. We had a Stitch Away event in January, which unfortunately was not a good thing for me. I could not come up on Wednesday, and when I came up on Thursday, it was really surprising how many people were already there. I ended up being able to find a place at a table that had 4 women. Tony Stitches in Kentucky and her sister were there, and so I was able to sit with her, and her sister is an excellent baker. And there was another woman there by the name of Claire, and there was a 4th woman that I do not remember her name, so I apologize to you. On the next morning, so that was Thursday night, a little funny thing happened. A woman came up and sat down next to me, and she said she just wanted to apologize to me, and I could not even think why she would want to apologize to me because I had not really met her before that I could remember. So she said she had watched the Kitchen Stitchers and had noted that a couple of times we mentioned the story about how at Stitch Away a number of years ago, I had just started the March Tall Guys that I had designed. And I just started it. So there was no picture of it since I just had graphed out what I wanted to do. And I had like 3 stitches in, so Lisa had something gorgeous, Crystal had something mostly finished, and then there was me with like 3 stitches. And she said, I just feel so bad that I made you feel bad, and I just wanted her to know that I didn't feel bad at all. I was actually quite tickled by it, and it is one of those memories that are like photo movies in your head that you remember for a long time. So she was adorable, and it made me laugh, and that was a nice thing. Sadly, the next morning I woke up with a migraine, and there had been a stomach bug that had been going out and around there, and I wasn't feeling great, and we had some really bad weather coming in, so all of that combined, I went home on Friday before lunch. So that was kind of a bummer, but that was, the way it was. I did finish up let's see, do I have it here? I did finish up the Garden Gang that weekend, so I did my own little Stitch Away at home, and in the comfy chair and watching TV with my husband, and he's a chef, so he took care of me. And so this is what I finished up. I took that into the new framer, and we'll see. Actually, no, I haven't taken that to the framer yet. Barb is from the local stitch shop that we have here, is creating the mats for me, so that's exciting, and then I'll get it framed. And I finished this up right before Stitch Away. I think you guys saw it. So that's in Jan's hands to do something really cute with it, so I can't wait to get that back. And then I finished up the one thing I showed you, and then the other thing that I worked on right after that was this from last year. This uses all of the new DMC floss from last year. So you buy a bunch of floss and you may only use 1 or 2 strands to finish it, but it's really cute. And so I think I'm going to have a friend of mine finish that up so it can hang. I just love the colors. There are a lot of fun, bright colors. And if you didn't read it, it says, where flowers bloom, so does hope. And that's kind of my mantra, so to speak. And then I also had been working on this. I started this after I got that one finished. I'd had this one kitted up for a while. And this I put on 40 count tiramisu. And you can see on the back how it describes the fabric name. And I can't, for the life of me, figure out what that is. So if you can figure that out, great. It looks like it's maybe reversed from what you're looking at, so put it up against a mirror and see if you can figure out what the fabric is, but I think it turned out pretty well. So I'm really, really happy. It's got a little sparkle to that fabric. And I don't often stitch on 40, but I just think it's so pretty. And I'm doing a Little Red Riding Hood now, and that's, I did over 2, but I didn't like the way it looked with 2 strands of thread, so I only did 1 strand of thread. I also wanted to let you know that I got a little package in the mail, which was kind of fun. I don't receive mail like that very much, and so that was pretty exciting. And it is from a woman by the name of Judy Jenkins. And Judy wrote, "Hello Kitchen Stitchers," that she wanted to thank us for the Sam Sarah Owl pattern, and has enclosed a few patterns that she's completed and thought we could pass the stash. In the area she lives in, there's no LNS close by or Stitcher retreats. And she says, thanks and have a blessed day. So Judy, thank you. I think you and I stitched very similarly. One of the things that she sent along is this. And Crystal and Lisa, I'm not sure, will have an interest in this because they don't, well, they have dogs. So I'm gonna pass these to Crystal and Lisa and see what if they want. These are, and if they don't, then I'll make them available for you guys online. My daughter, actually, this was a nice pattern that I had. She had looked up online about 2 or 3 years ago, and she'd seen this, and so she asked me to stitch it. And for those of you who are stitchers, you know, if your kid asks you to do something, that's pretty exciting, and I love doing that for her. She's a big dog fan too. So then there's a Nora Corbett, so Jenny. Or Judy, this is the one I'm working on now as well, and I absolutely love it. So you'll have to send me a picture to see what it looks like. I'm pretty excited about it. This is the first Nora Corbett I've done. So I'll see if Lisa or Crystal want this, and if they do, then they can have it. Otherwise, I'll pass it on to you guys. And then this last one is a Nora Corbett, same thing. So anyway, thank you, Judy, for your very, very kind mail, and I appreciate that. I'm going to end this now. I did want to mention something this week that I don't know if it's gotten attention outside of this area, but we had a detective very close to where we live here was shot and killed by a young man in his middle 20s who, rumor has it, may have been on drugs. I am connected in a way with these people because his parents go to our church. I think he's been at our church at some times, but I've not seen him. And the detective has worked with my husband on the security detail at church. And his mother is a teacher in a school district that I have an instructional coach that works out there, someone who works for me. We also have, he also went to school there, as did the detective. So we have a community that's really heartbroken. Furthermore, the pastor of our church, his brother was one of the SWAT people, I think, that was there in the SWAT car that had taken some direct hits from this kiddo. He had, if you listen to the news reports and you listen to the voice recording from some phone messages that he left or his 911 calls, he lured the sheriffs in under the idea that he had committed suicide, and when they heard some space, they were going to rush in and try to save the kid, and he shot through the door and killed one of the detectives and wounded the other. This is a very odd situation because, you know, normally you say, oh gosh, you got the bad guy, you cannot like him and just mourn for the sheriffs, and the first responders and everybody connected, and especially the sheriff, the detective's family, who has a young child of, I think, 7 years old, and my heart bleeds for them. But also, I just, knowing some of the situation with this kiddo, one of the guys that works with me, his son was friends with this other gentleman's son, and we saw on his Facebook page, he stopped posting at Facebook in 2017. And if you look on his Facebook page, this kid looks like a normal kid, well kempt. He's just, he was an art kid. He was well liked. He seemed very kind. And then lost a couple jobs after he got out of high school, from what I could see, and then stopped posting. And from what I understand, had gotten involved with drugs. So he'd spent a couple of years down in the depths of despair. So my heart bleeds for everyone involved in this situation. My heart bleeds for my pastor, who's really, really suffering, as his heart is bleeding for all of these people. And his brother was in the line of fire, and it was just a horrible situation. Friday of this past week, I was fortunate to be able to work from home and then go and stand with the Williamsburg teachers who were in this district, where all of this stuff kind of came together. And we stood on Beachmont Avenue. So over here on the east side of town, Beachmont's a really big street. It's kind of the main street in the Anderson, Amelia, Batavia area. And so I was standing there when the procession started, and as we watched the procession move out, and there were, from all reports, about 1,000 cars. It took almost an hour for all of those cars to pass. And there are images in my head that will be in that mental photograph forever. Obviously, one is the car behind the hearse, and I see this little boy's face up against the window watching all of us. Now, here we are standing on the street. So it's 4 lanes. It's got that suicide lane in the middle, 2 lanes, suicide lane, 2 lanes. And all of us were lining the path where they were headed. And we moved into the first lane. So they were basically driving down the suicide lane. There were people on the other side of the road, not as thick, but they were out in the lane. If you looked down Beachmont Avenue, and it goes on for a long ways to where they were headed back to the church or to the cemetery, it was thick with people. You could not see a break in people. Then as the procession started to come off, it went pin drop silent. There were adults there. There were children there, young children there, middle level children there. They were pin drop silent for that entire hour. And as that procession went by, I was really, really glad his son got to see how much this community cares and what a hero his dad was. And the other part of that procession is, obviously, there were 1,000 cars. There were people from all over. Most of those were sheriffs and police. There were first responders towards the end. And they came from all over the state. We saw Kentucky, we saw Indiana, I think we saw Illinois, Pennsylvania. They were from everywhere. And what struck me was them looking at us. And I was really glad about that they could see how much people really care, because I think a lot of times those guys don't get, they get all the complaints, they get all the problems, they get all the bad news on the media. And they may hear occasionally people say, thank you for your service. But I think there's a difference between thank you for your service and people actually standing there for an hour in freezing cold temperatures with the wind whipping. It was 20 degrees, and with that wind whipping, I don't even know what the wind chill was. I know I had my hand on my heart for a while in gloves, and it got frozen, so I had to put it in my pocket because it was so cold. But we didn't move. We didn't move for that entire time. People were holding flags. They were holding signs. There were teachers from the area districts in that county, in the county that's right next to where I am. And they were looking right back at us. They were giving us eye contact. They were making sure that they saw us and that we knew that they saw us. It was respectful. It was really a good thing, but you could also see the grief in their faces, and it was really hard. So if you have a moment to pray for Detective Brewer's family and for your law enforcement that work with you and first responders, those guys are pretty phenomenal in what they do and what they have to put up with and how they put their lives. They truly have never know what situation they're walking into, and they are always putting their lives on the line. So I feel really blessed to have been able to take part in that, and it's something that I will never forget. So given that, I would just like to say to all of you, have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me from your kitchen. So I'm going to W all kitchen stitchers. Just know that anything can change at the drop of a hat. Appreciate the time you have with your loved ones. Appreciate what you have and all the blessings that you have. Even if you're in a tough time, we all have peaks and valleys in our lives and in our relationships, and it doesn't diminish what we've had when we're on those peaks, and we grow and we learn from those valleys. So God bless you all, and hopefully I'll be back with you when I have some finishes in maybe a week or two. So thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Leave your comments.